the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Stones with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hey. Welcome back to Red Side of the Trent. And we are going to discuss the Arsenal game preview. We're hoping this will get belted out around the City Ground when we start winning at home after Ange's first
You've got some warners, Adam, about this.
I'm not. I think that's fantastic.
Oh, what a fantastic start.
I'm delighted to be joined by Reiss and Mason Coy. Reiss, how are you, first of all?
Brilliant after that.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Has that won you over, if you ever had any doubts over Ange Postecoglou?
Yeah. Sold.
Fantastic. Mason,
you,
are you well?
Yeah, better now, yeah. To be honest.
Can you please show the viewers your James McAtee haircut?
Oh, turn that way, look. James McAtee inspired.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. No, we're here to discuss the Arsenal preview as well as obviously Nuno sacking and some other bits and bobs, and we'll go through it all. We'll start at the top though with that Nuno sacking, because it was a little bit of it might not have been out of the blue, because I think we all saw it coming in some capacity. Reiss, I'll start with yourself. Just a word on Nuno first of all as a manager for Forest and what he did for you personally.
As a manager, fantastic. As a man, petulant. But no, as a manager, you can't ask for any more than what he did. He overachieved. Was pragmatic, a little bit moody, but it's what was to expected of him. What we got told by Wolves fans, Spurs fans, and everyone in between. But he's brilliant, really good. It's just a shame how it ended, obviously. But yeah, as a manager, can't argue. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Mason, it's a travesty how it's all kind of unfolded, really, for us and Nuno. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I was firmly in the camp of Nuno out, to be honest. After his petulantness, like Reiss said, he turned the gun on himself, didn't he? Basically, I think it was fairly obvious that he was forcing an exit out the door. But yeah, it's a real shame, because since I've been alive, he's been our best manager. I know that's probably harsh on Cooper, but for what he's achieved for us in such a short space of time, I think Nuno's probably the best for me. So it was a shame, and I did love him. I loved him. I loved the way he was. I mean, Reiss said just then he was a bit touchy off the field, seemed a bit moody, but I quite enjoyed that. Sometimes I think an over-exuberant manager's trying to hide stuff. So no, 100%, mate. It's gutting how it ended, but I think it's right that it did, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with those conferences where he's coming out and basically slagging off our ownership. Well, he wasn't slagging off the ownership as such. He was basically saying there was no transfers. I don't know what was happening, and it was just all a bit weird because we was waiting for a cash area, and then we go and spend a load of money on 4 players. Then end up with about 13, I think, in the end, and he was still kind of a bit like, "Oh, this is not who I wanted." And I had a bit of a question for you both pre this, and we'll get into it a little bit later about our recruitment and what it means with the arrival of Ange. But Reiss, just touching on who you wanted to replace him before Ange Postecoglou obviously got rumoured. It was very heavily rumoured, like early doors, and then it just suddenly he was there, he was in the building, and it's done. But who would you have liked to have gone for if there was a little bit more time? Because I think that's what was the blocking factor.
Yeah, that was the point I was going to make. You not afforded the luxury of to and froing when the season's football moves quick. In an ideal world, it would have probably been Iraola. Probably. The more I've thought about it, would he have come to us? Probably not. Sideways step, realistically, given both clubs' ambitions. So, yeah, Iraola. I do like the look of Silva. I also, for some reason, I always put Silva in the Nuno bracket, to be fair. It just feels like one of them managers, it feels like he's managed Wolves. Does that make sense? He feels like one of them sort of, yeah, he's just one of them sort of bracket of managers that's below elite, but what we'd need, bit of European experience. So any one of them really. Glasner, I'm not overly fussed about Glasner, to be honest. I mean, he's also shown petulance in the past couple of weeks, obviously leading up with the Gearhey thing and sort of the way that transfer transpired. So probably one of the two obvious names named, but Ange wasn't in my thinking at all, really, and it was quite the opposite, to be honest.
Yeah, Mason, do you have any other names up your sleeve that you would have maybe liked, or has Reiss kind of nailed the three that you would have probably gone for?
There was one, mate, to be fair. I think it was Rob Dorsey. I think he sold us a dream with his tweet late at night. It was one of them Sky people. He tweeted late at night saying that Poch was in the frame, and that got me all excited, just going off his previous with Southampton and Spurs, and he's developing young players, and he's really good at developing young players. That was one that for me stood out, and I thought, oh yeah, I could see that. I've always had a weird soft spot for Poch. I think he's a great manager. I'd have loved that, and like Reiss said as well, I don't think Ange would have made a top 50 list, to be honest with me. But
top 50, bloody Nora.
No, genuinely, I think I've made it very clear my thoughts the past few days. But now the dust settled a little bit. I'm sure we'll touch on it later, but it's what it is, isn't it? We've got to back him. He's our man now, and to be honest, I found him quite likeable the past couple of days. So
let's stick with that topic then, because we need to get into I mean, Reiss, I don't think Ange was on your list either. So why was Ange not on your list? I mean, there's obviously some obvious statistics in terms of how many games he was losing, but was there any other reason that you didn't want him at the football club either?
No, I've fallen guilty of the media perception, to be honest. Like that, if you said you've seen that much of Spurs last season, then you're not really a Forest fan, in my opinion. So I'm just going off the overriding sort of view and what you hear from Spurs fans and what you see on the media, really. And from what I've seen from the outside, I've seen someone who's extremely pig-headed, someone who's not willing to change, not willing to adapt. Obviously, he's sort of addressed that in his recent press conferences with us. But yeah, there's just something about him that didn't ring right. But like I say, I'm happy to admit that I've fallen into a trap of the social media, really. Like I didn't know enough about him to think any other than what's being portrayed to me in the newspapers on TalkSPORT. So I'm happy to be proven wrong, but that's probably why I literally recoiled when I seen his name. I just thought he just felt against everything that we've been trying to achieve up until this point. But yeah, time will tell.
I mean, Mason, what was your concerns? Because I mean, top 50 is you might be exaggerating, I don't know, but that seems quite extreme for that sort of comment, if you do mean it. So what was your concerns?
Hey, I was so far against it. I couldn't even name 50 managers, and he still wouldn't be in the top 50. That's how against it I was. And that's me being totally transparent, because he lost 22 times with that Spurs team last year, and that's what did it for me. And all I could think about was that first half away at their new funky stadium, how easy it was. It was so easy. And when you look at comments from Spurs fans and they're saying, oh God, we were so open, and I'm like, oh, that's not like us. That doesn't sound good. It's like Reiss said, probably the media forced the narrative of the high line, and I'm thinking Milenkovic. I'm thinking if Murillo gets injured, we've got Bolly or Morata, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare. But yeah, like I said, I haven't changed my mind, and because I'm not that naive or stupid, but he's become a bit more likable to me over the past couple of days. The way I've seen him with the players, the way he spoke, I think he spoke very well. I want him to change my opinion of him. Then he's done a good job. I think a couple of wins will do that nicely, settle him in nicely. But yeah, my head had rolled down my hill, mate. My head had gone when we appointed him. I think I was firmly like Christian, to be honest. I was of that level of hot, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean that's the barometer. I mean, I might have to get some sort of scale for when we do future pods of a thermometer and then Christian's head at the top sort of thing. But I mean, Reiss, there is some things to be excited about, I think, with Ange Postecoglou because of his record at so many different clubs, not even just in Europe, but halfway across the world, which none of us, let's face it, we don't know anything about Australian football. We don't know anything about Japanese football. So we can't really comment on that. But going into Celtic, it was a one-horse race for a long time. It still kind of is. So coming to Tottenham, he come fifth in the first season without Harry Kane and played a really nice, attractive brand of football. I remember those first 10 games or something where they were just sweeping teams aside. I mean, that is something that as three purists, I like to call us purists, football fans, it's something to kind of whet our appetites with, I think, going forward, because we're not used to that type of football, I guess.
No. And you've got someone who's like I said, regardless of the level, is a serial winner and lays out his ambitions early and makes it clear. And yeah, it is a bit of a meme, but he does achieve. He does achieve. He's been successful wherever he's been. It might be a British thing that being arrogant and on the nose doesn't really sit well with us and the media. There's a fine line between ambition and arrogance, isn't there? And obviously, he sort of sits on that side of arrogance, and I still seen it in his press conference today. I thought, I can see why he gets the sort of perception he does. But no, he's gone into Celtic. There's pressure. You're expected to win games. He's done it. He's done something that huge names, Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Conte, he's delivered. They can't do. So it's commendable, and he sort of backs it up. And I don't think the media and as Brits like that level of arrogance, and it's something that the Australians are pretty much renowned for, isn't it? And if he comes in this club and walks through the door and says, I'm going to win you a trophy, and turns around and does it, then once again, Marinakis has made the correct decision. So I'm happy for him to carry on as he is in terms of personality and backing it up with results. It's just the playing style which concerns me still a little bit, but time will tell on that. But I'm not here to judge. At the end of the day, I've got to see it with my own two eyes, and history would say that we've signed a player who was released from Torino. We've signed a player who was 7th choice goalkeeper. We've signed, pardon the pun, Deadwood up top for £15 million. Do you know, we've signed all these players that haven't done it. So and put on the Forest shirt and done it for us. So why can't the manager be the same? That's the way I've started to look at it now. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it all.
I almost think it's quite a hand in glove fit because of how Marinakis has been speaking for the last several years in terms of his mentality, and then you've got Ange Postecoglou saying, "Why can't I win a trophy in this first season?"
Well, yeah, and okay, the championship's a championship, but since we've been in the Premier League, there's not really been a wrong decision by Marinakis. So why does that change now? Obviously, all we can do is go off the history of previous results and previous clubs and what the media are telling us. But when Marinakis says something, it tends to happen. So, and let's be honest, can't sugarcoat it. Regardless of what we think of Ange, he's the same. He says he's going to win you trophies, and he does it. He said it at Spurs. Everyone laughed him out the media room. And back end of May, regardless of league finish, which is obviously a different kettle of fish, he's turned around and said, "I told you so." He's won a trophy. He's done exactly what he said. Whether he's competitive in the league or not is once again a completely different conversation. But you've got two men at the helm now, and one of them that's the owner who puts his money where his mouth is and says he's going to do these things, and stood at the town hall and said we're going to get in the Champions League and we're going to win things, and he's getting a step closer to it. And now I've got a manager who says and does the same. So there's a positive there, isn't there? There's something to look into and think. We've got two men at the helm here who put their money where their mouth is and tend to back it up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Mason, what excites you about Ange? I know you've already reiterated you was against it, but now he's starting to slowly turn the tide for you already after one press conference, and one interview by the sounds of it. What excites you? Because we have got a plethora of talent, and I think we've got players who are certainly going to thrive, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's turning me. I'm just saying I think he's a bit more likeable than what I thought he was, obviously, because we've seen him when he was at his Mardius, shall we say, when he was at Spurs, and he was turning away easy questions by being a bit of an idiot, really. But yeah, you've got to look at the positives, haven't you? You can't dwell on everything. Like I said earlier, he's our manager now. You've got to back him. He's a good attacking manager. He's proved that everywhere he's gone. I think Spurs came 17th and they scored 65 goals, I think it was, but then they did concede 64. But then the positive is they scored 65 goals. So yeah, you've got to look at that. And like you said, we've got a ridiculous amount of depth and talent in our team now. Like, we've got wingers who will thrive in one-on-one situations, which is Ange's dream. We've got strikers now who are different options to Wood. We've got a Kalimwendo who can press, who can run in behind. We've got the likes of McAtee, and I think it's been touched on quite a lot on X that we've got a lot of players that Ange's tried to buy previously already in our team now. I think there's Murillo, Morgan Gibbs-White, there's McAtee, there was Kalimwendo, there was Hudson-Odoi, that have all been recently linked with Ange Postecoglou teams. Like, so it almost makes you think, was this being built for Ange instead of Nuno, which is obviously a bit of a touchy subject.
Which actually dives straight into my question. It's like you planned that, Mason. So I asked you both to kind of prep for this one, which was, do you think sacking Nuno was always the plan if we got into Europa League, and now with the signings we have made, does it almost seem more obvious that Ange was always the target after you became available? I mean, I'll start with yourself, Mason. Do you buy into that kind of that thinking now? Because I've reiterated this and alluded to it on past podcasts, should I say, that football clubs operate differently out of the elite now. They're recruiting players for a certain head coach to come in and just manage the team rather than pick and choose players, it seems, because I just think there's such a rotating door of managers now. You can't do that, I guess. I guess you can't give them that power.
Yeah, I think with the first part of the question, it's difficult to say. I don't want to seem like I'm sitting on the fence, but I think if he was planning for Ange, I think it's happened a lot sooner than expected, just purely because of Nuno's petulance. Yeah, it's so hard to say because, like I just said, the team looks ready-made for Ange Postecoglou. It does. So there's that side of it. There's also the side of it where we know they've had a couple of meetings together and they've got the Greek link, and the Marinakis has spoke publicly, hasn't he, about how much he likes Ange. So you could say so. I think it's probably a tad far-fetched, but it seems to have all fit like a glove since Nuno for his dummy out of the pram. But yeah, remind me of the second part of the question, mate. Sorry.
I'm just wondering whether the recruitment was then more tailored towards Ange, which I think you've kind of answered anyway.
Yeah,
certain players definitely suit 100%. How he plays.
Yeah, I'd say towards the end, mate, like you say, I think it was fairly well known now that Nuno wanted players who were happy to play second fiddle and were lesser than our starting 11, your Christiansens, your Traore and your Mateus Fernandes. They were his main three targets by all accounts. And we've gone bigger and better. But you'd argue that the bit that is probably the stickiest of situations really is the fact that we've tried to kind of come away from the sitting behind the ball, and we've started trying to move into this attacking style of play so quickly, and then Ange's come in a few weeks later. So there is that part of it. So you can say, yeah, it was written in the stars, but like I say, I think it was probably a bit sooner than planned, and it's kind of just happened so that Ange was available. Because I think there's something came out the other day that Marinakis has never paid compensation for a manager, so I don't think he was going to start now. And
sign a £37.5 million winger that didn't get in the Europa League squad, but won't pay for a manager to lead the team. I find that bizarre, personally.
Yeah, but yeah, mate, 100%. I think that the answer to your question is yeah. The signings, especially towards the end, were half trying to give Nuno a little push. Not that I don't think he needed one. I think he was already out the door himself. And also saying, look, Ange, look what we've gone and got you. Come and join us, type thing. So yeah, I think that was probably the case, especially like I say after the Palace game or just a few days before that. So yeah, mate, 100%.
Reiss, do you agree with anything that Mason's just said?
No, the only one thing that stood out in Ange's first interview was he sort of alluded to he didn't have a great deal of time to make the decision. He said something about, I rang my coaching staff and we had a very quick decision to make and they was all on board. Now, whether he's just sort of sprinkling that in to sort of cover his tracks, shall we say, and protect the owner and sort of protect his own integrity, because obviously there's a bit of a grey area when someone's in a job and you're already touting yourself for it. But it's football, it's ruthless, there's no friends in it. So Tony Bloom was absolutely lauded when De Zerbi's doing fantastically well, and he says, look, we've already got our next manager lined up. Forest should be no different. Are they looking beyond Ange Postecoglou already? Obviously not. It's very, very early, but there's always going to be a point where you've got to prepare for the future, because football moves so quickly. And I think it's personally a little bit of coincidence and preparation. I think it's somewhere between the two. I think that possibly Edu's got a hand in how he wanted us to play, which upset Nuno, which would then, I mean, there's only one if the way Nuno plays, there's only opposite to how Nuno played is attacking. So you're going to get more attacking players if you want to play a different way to how Nuno played. There'd be attacking players regardless of whether they was Postecoglou's or whoever's choice that was. Edu was always going to go for attacking players if he wanted to play a different way to Nuno, because Nuno was defensive and counter-attacking. So the players he's going to choose, therefore, have to be attacking players who are dynamic. So it might have just been perfect storm of we've got players that suit Ange, players he may or may not have been linked with, and so on. And it's all fallen into place for Ange Postecoglou, and then the conspiracy theorists can get the tin hats on and say who's been sat in A block for the past 6 weeks. You don't know. Like we don't know. We never have the answer for it, to be fair. But some might say that it looks a little bit. I don't know. I don't know is the answer, to be honest with you. We can only
we'll never know.
We can only guess.
This is why we need a Netflix documentary or is it All or Nothing on Prime? But you know, in his press conference, I mean, some of the little points. I mean, he spoke about earning fans' trust, and I think the only way of doing that is winning foot matches. And if he does it by being entertaining and we're beating teams 3-4-0 or whatever, then it's great. I mean, it's weird because we're quite worried about the defensive side rather than being excited about the attacking side, which I find it hard to stomach almost. But I understand it as well at the same time. Obviously, wants to attack, experience of different formations, so that's quite, that bodes well. Where it was like Nuno was a bit rigid in those two formations he wanted to play. Whether he had the personnel to do it, we'll never know until. We'll probably find out now with Ange because he's got the squad. So, but a baptism of fire, Reiss, heading into the Emirates. I mean, a familiar foe for him as well in Arsenal. I mean, they've started off quite well. Obviously, lost their last game to Liverpool to a Dominic Szoboszlai wildy free kick, to be honest. And I thought there was the better side in that game, but we never seem to do very well at the Emirates. That's my biggest concern.
No, and I think it's a free hit rather than a baptism of fire. This is, for me, a performance-based thing off the back of the West Ham game. Everyone has bad games, bad days at the office, but it'll put a lot to bed if we come out and play away and play a style and look back to how we were at Brentford. It's a huge ask at the Emirates. We've been extremely unsuccessful there, and it's not really been fun to even watch, let alone for the lads and ladies who travelled down there. I can't. Have we even scored a goal at the Emirates? It was a
I was there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a huge ask. They're a very, very good football team, aren't they? At the end of the day, we've seen how good Declan Rice is. You've seen the deliveries during the week. You'd like to think that Milenkovic would have had a bit of heading practice to see, but obviously he's sort of running around trying to get himself sent off for 65 minutes. But yeah, they're a fantastic football team, aren't they? And it's the biggest of tests. And Ange's got to come out of it with a performance. I won't be upset about the results. I'm not expecting us to win. And there's obviously a side to me. Whenever I played, I wanted to win. But performance and result and a bit of a peek behind the curtain as to what to expect going forward into the future games is what I'm looking at here. So let's just see how they go. I'm really quite pragmatic about the whole situation. I'm not like, we've got a new manager, you need to go there, you need to win, he needs to prove himself, and then back to square one and booing him and never wanting him. It's no, these things take time. So let's just see. Let's just see. They're a great side. We're a good side on our day. So I just want to see a little glimpse into the future, really, on Saturday.
I think it's almost a bit of a litmus test of our character already under a new manager, because he's going to probably put a team out and say, well, you lost the last game quite convincingly towards the end of it, obviously, and we're poor. Like, go and show me why you want this shirt, blah, 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 because everyone's going to have a fresh start. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Mason, how do you see us approaching it? Do you because Andrew's not going to within 1 day, 2 days, well, what's it, 1 day with the full squad and go, right, we're playing kamikaze football from the off, is he? I feel like he might go more how Tottenham did in the Europa League and keep it quite tight and maybe be on the counter, and that suits us down to the ground, really.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a very Nuno-esque performance, to be honest. I think the people that have seen people moaning already, oh, Milenkovic highline at the Emirates, it's not going to happen. Like, be realistic. The bloke's had today, tomorrow, with the full amount of players there because of the international break. He's not going to just go, right, you go pressing the ball up there, Milenkovic and Murillo stand on the halfway line. It's just not going to happen. I think he'll be very defensive minded. I think he'll snatch your hand off for a point right now, and I think every single Forest fan would. I think if you're not, you're very naive and silly, to be honest. But yeah, I think we'll see a very, like you just said, we'll sit and we'll try and catch him on the break. I think we'll see glimpses, because he seems to be the bloke who puts his arm around attacking players and says, go and show me what you can do. And I think, like I said earlier, he loves a 1v1 winger, and I think we'll try and get in them situations. I watched a training video earlier, and even in a passing drill, they're saying get the ball wide to the wingers, and they're getting the ball to the wingers, and in a passing drill, they're saying go on, and it's like, whoa, this is a bit new. And I think obviously Hudson-Odoi and Yates have come out and said, haven't they, about the intensity. So I think when we're on the ball, we'll see glimpses, and that's even a stretch. That'll just be because players want to impress and players will be trying to do what Ange wants them to do. But yeah, I think it'll be very Nuno-esque, mate, to be honest. And hopefully it worked better than it has done previously, because like you touched on, we've probably had 10 minutes of good football there in 3 seasons. So
yeah, I mean, I watched the training video. It looked like they were just going 100 miles per hour, like from the off. Like the Rondo was like, honestly, like it was ridiculous. I was watching Cali Mwendo just running around like a headless chicken, to be honest. But let's get into our teams for this Saturday. I mean, I asked you both to choose from the heart rather than what you think Ange might play, and we'll start with yours, Reiss. Both of yours are both very, very similar, I have to say. I mean, we've put in Savona in there, and I'll read it out. So it's 4-2-3-1 with Sells in goal, Savona, Milenkovic, Murillo, Nico Williams. There's 3 Nicos in the back line. Can I just say that? That's just bizarre. Elliot Anderson partnering Douglas Luiz, who we might see for the first time. Dan and Doy on the right, Gibbs White behind Cali Mwendo, and Hudson-Odoi on the left. So, Reiss, what's your thinking? I know you mentioned to me about Cali Mwendo being there because of Woods travelling. I mean, he's going to be interesting if he plays, actually, because he's different type of striker that we've not really seen a lot of.
Yeah, so that's my thinking. I was sort of calling toss between him and Igor Jesus, to be honest. So I just think what leans into my thinking is these signings and the petulance of Nuno not playing these signings. There can't be a world where they're then not allowed to play again. So you're going to have to start seeing a few of them play. So Cali Mwendo up top, I think from what I've seen, highlight permitting, really, he seems to be shorter, stockier, stronger on the ball, deeper, obviously interlinking players. So it looks like a good fit, and then obviously Douglas Luiz, I'm absolutely desperate to see him start in the middle of that park. Absolutely desperate to see him play.
I mean, we've seen that we've obviously spoke to Villa fans about his role in the team. Does that mean Elliot Anderson's got to be the more disciplined out of these two?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he's done it. He's done it. Got 2 man the matches, but it's quite an on-the-nose question, that, really. I mean, yes, he does, but they're professional footballers. They can rotate, they can cover each other, they can both drop in and do a job, really. I just think it offers a little bit. We didn't need Sangare against West Ham. It's nothing against how we played. It's just you could see that when they've got them two players in the middle of the park, you're sort of sacrificing a little bit of creativity and a bit of forward thinking and a little bit of dynamism, really. So I just want to see Luiz in there. Obviously, the other thing that you sort of have to stick your hands up and say is, I don't know the first thing about the kid at right back. We don't, do we?
He's a handsome boy. I know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm jealous of his cheekbone structure, and that's about it, to be honest. There's not a great deal sort of go off on him, but he's we'll quickly find out. He's sort of debunked all the myths of everyone tall, really. He looks quick, which is, if it's to be believed, and Ange plays that high line and wants his fullbacks to be dynamic, and actually looked into it, to be fair, and Ange actually leans into having his fullbacks inverting as opposed to overlapping. So it could be a good fit, but I don't know enough about the kid, to be honest, to sort of pass any more on it. And then the last sort of touches on my starting 11 is, in terms of lucky boys, you don't get a luckier boy than the man in the number 10, to be honest. But I just don't think Ange can drop him. Ange needs someone to lean on that sort of epitomises the club, if you like. And if he was to drop Gibbs White and not play Yates and elect a new captain, it's too much of a huge statement for me. So I don't think Morgan will miss out, even though if it was just based on football, he shouldn't be anywhere near the starting 11 based off his West Ham performance.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Undoy, obviously, a little bit weak, but I think statistically he's looked all right. I just think people deserve an opportunity rather than being chopped at the first chance. So keep him in there, and if he don't perform, I mean, there's £70 million worth of wingers in Hutchinson and Backwell ready to take his place.
Yeah, he was terrific for Switzerland in the week. I mean, there was a connection of Remo Freuler to Dallin Doy in the week for a goal, so that was fun.
What could have been?
Sorry, Mason, you've made one change from Reiss's 11, which was delaying Backwell in on that right wing. I mean, I'll let you in behind the curtain. None of us have actually chosen Sangare in any of our lineups, by the way. So what's made you not choose Sangare for this game?
Travel. He's been away, and Douglas Luiz has trained. I think that's a lot of my thinking, to be honest, mate. With regards to the midfield three, which I think it will be. Obviously, I sent it you in a 4-2-3-1. I think it'll be more of a 4-3-3. They'll be flat. There'll be times where, like Reiss just touched on, Anderson will be the 6. Douglas Luiz and Anderson are clever footballers. It's not like Football Manager. You're not going to stick one in the 6 and he's going to stand there all game. There'll be times on the ball where Douglas Luiz is in between the centre halves. There'll be times where Anderson's higher up than Gibbs White. Them three are all clever footballers. They're all good on the ball. They're all mobile. They can all get around the pitch. Let them do what they want. It's simple as that. You can trust them all enough to say, if he goes, if Douglas Luiz bombs on, Anderson will sit. If it's the other way around, Douglas Luiz has got the football IQ to sit as well. And I think that's the position we're in. And I just think, like I said, we've had a few players that have travelled quite a bit of a distance. Sangare is one of them. I just think give Douglas Luiz a go. Like Reiss said, we're all itching to see him. We might struggle to create chances against Arsenal because they're probably going to have the majority of the ball. The bloke's got an unbelievable dead ball delivery. We can play off set pieces, get him on the pitch. And then with regards to Backwell compared to Ndoye, I just think he's our X Factor boy, isn't he? He is. And I think against West Ham after 20 minutes, I was messaging Reiss straight away and I was saying, we need someone with X Factor here. Like, you need someone who's going to do something out of nothing, and that's not a flick on the edge of your box. Cough, cough. It's someone who's going to run at someone who's going to take people on with a little step over, do something that's out of the ordinary. And I think he's that man. And I think the club know that as well. Like, I think they've all said we were after him for a while. We've had our eyes on him for a long time. He's had 10 times more media than every other signing. He seems like the X Factor signing for me. And I know he's not the most expensive, but I think he's the one that is almost like our poster boy signing this season. So I think just throw him in then. If we're treating him like he's this good and he's and he's this X Factor signing, chuck him in. Let's see. And obviously, Dan Doyle's probably played at least 150 minutes, 160 minutes worth of football in the time that Back has been training at the training ground. So he's probably a little bit fresher. He hasn't been on flights, so he's probably fresher in that sense. That's not me doing a disservice to Darren Doyle, because I think I'm probably flying his flag quite higher than probably everybody else at this point, because I think if you're still adapting to a league and you're still putting goals and assists up on the board like he has done, you're onto a winner. You are onto a winner. I do like the look of Darren Doyle, and I think after the West Ham game, I think he got hung out to dry, to be honest, and I think he did at the Palace game as well. I think he's really been hung out to dry in the way that Nuno was playing. So we might see a different version of Darren Doyle now, whether that's on the left and the right. I think he's probably better suited to the left, but yeah, that was just my thinking. And like Reiss said, we don't really know much about Savannah, do we, or Savona, however you say it. We don't really know much about him, but chuck him in, because it's Reiss said it's a free hit. I get it. It is in one sense, but you're never going to know unless you chuck him in. Einer's injured. You're never going to know. You're never going to know what this lad's made of. Is he going to chuck Carlos Miguel in at Exeter and say his hamstring's done, even though we know full well his hamstring wasn't done? Or is he going to roll his sleeves up and say, I'm here to stay all around, he's going to have to fight to get his shirt back, which obviously we hope is that case. So we're never going to know unless we chuck him in and use him. And I know he hasn't played a lot of football, but we've got options. We can change formation. We've got that depth now. So like Ange said, he's happy with it. So let's use it and let's see.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he gets on against Gabriel Martinelli or Eze, depending on how Arsenal go, obviously, because they got bloody loads of players. I mean, if that Max Dowman plays, just someone chop him. This is my team, which is same personnel as you, Mason. I've just made Anderson sit in the 6 purely because I just think maybe we pack midfield a little bit and get Gibbs White a little bit deeper alongside Douglas Luiz. So I've gone with Self, Savona, Milenkovic, Murillo, Nico Williams, Anderson just in front, Douglas Luiz and Gibbs White as a 4-4-1-2, and then a 3 with Callum Mwendo and Hudson-Odoi. I mean, we have to talk about Elliot Anderson actually, because those 2 performances, albeit against Andorra and then a better opposition in Serbia, I thought he was excellent and he's done himself no harm, but I don't want to see him in the 6 permanently, obviously, for us because of how good he's been. And I mean, Reiss, he's done himself absolutely zero harm and probably done more harm to Forest, because now you're going to get every big club potentially sniffing around him if he continues this trajectory, because I think he's first in loads of categories in the Premier League after the first 3 games as well. So it's not even just that he played well for England, he's playing well for us as well.
Yeah, well, once again, it feels like every time I come on here, I end up doing a 5-minute monologue about why he's so good. I mean, he's just outrageous, absolutely outrageous talent. Just I've said before, and I'll say again, I think he's now proven, even in them 2 games, regardless of opposition, his ceiling's higher than Morgan Gibbs White's by an absolute country mile. You're looking at a player that once again is enjoying this season, because he's not going to be around forever, and we can't be upset if he goes. It's that simple. You don't put them performances in. It was very Declan Rice-esque when he was at West Ham. That's how it felt. Them sort of level of performances where you're sort of sat there going, yeah, this is really good. I think I see Mason put it on his Instagram when Elliot was starting. It's like, felt like a proud father. And it's like, you sort of sat there like, he plays for our club. And obviously I work over in like Staffordshire, and there's a lot of like Villa fans and stuff. And everyone's coming in like, God, you've got a player on your hands. And you're almost going, yeah, we have. Yeah, he's our player. And you're proud to sort of say he plays for us. And long may it continue. It was absolutely fantastic. But like you say, in the England setup, he's got, once again, no disrespect to these sort of players, and I think I can say it, he's got a better squad of players around him that allowed him to be as free as he was in the 6. He's going to have to do a little bit more for us. But in terms of interceptions and winning the ball back, he's also an absolute dream for an Ange Postecoglou, who wants a bit of assurance at the back should the ball break if we are playing a high line. because he's got that recovery in him in the engine. So, yeah, I mean, once again, I've probably at 3 minutes. There you go. So, you know what I mean, this is absolutely fantastic, unbelievable player.
I think what this midfield does, whether because we've all chose it in some capacity, I think what it allows Ange to do is, from listening to what journalists have said, what he was like at Tottenham, he had a lot of players that were more kind of get the ball and just pass it in 10 to 15 yards and never really those like long diags across like over the top for certain players. I feel like Douglas Luiz is someone that we might try and get the ball to a lot and almost be a quarterback, because we watched it quite a lot in the early first few games where Dan Doy was making them curved runs. I feel like back when Hudson-Odoi we might start seeing that a little bit more. I think if Kalimawendo starts, he's going to run channels. No Saliba for Arsenal is a test for them, because you don't know if they're going to play Calafiori there or Hincapié. It's a test for everyone. I feel like it's got the makings of a good game, to be fair. I just hope we go there and be positive, but not too crazy. But I've got a good feeling for once going to the Emirates, because normally we are absolute dog and just stink the gaff out like we did last few times. Do you know, like if it's like Ward-Prowse and Yates just gave me nightmares for that game. It was like
that's the point, though, isn't it? You're now going there with 3 technical footballers. You're not going there with an enforcer that falls on the ball and slows things down, and yes, is good in certain situations, and someone who can spank a free kick in for Southampton from 35, 40 yards. You know what I mean? With technically gifted footballers who all theoretically should complement each other and sort of match Arsenal, really, which is amazing compared to where we was.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough game. I just think if we can get in to 50, 60 minutes at 0-0 and we frustrated that Emirates crowd, I just think there's always a chance, especially with what we've got potentially on our bench. But like going forward, I mean, those next 3 games, I think you said it, Reiss, perfectly. Swansea, Burnley and Sunderland are going to be pivotal for what we might expect. I mean, Mason, if he can win all 3 of them games, regardless of the Arsenal one, like we've said, if we get a result, brilliant. If we lose, but lose admirably, as we'd like to, if that's how we're going to go down, then them 3 games are massive, aren't they, really, for building this, I don't know, Ange ball reign, I guess.
Oh, yeah, mate. It's crazy. He touched on it today in his press conference. 4 away games for his first 4 games.
Including going to Real Betis.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah, mate, he's got to. He has to win the Premier League games, apart from, obviously, Arsenal. He's got to get 6 points from his next 3. Otherwise, it's got the makings of turning toxic, hasn't it, really? It does.
Do you think that early? Do you think that was yeah, I suppose.
100%,
There's 2 teams you should expect to win. We would have expected to win them with Nuno, wouldn't we? So I guess so.
Yeah, I think 100% just purely because of he wasn't everyone else's number 1 choice. I do think that. I think he's come with added pressure. I think there's a big balloon at the moment ready to pop. Obviously, it could go one way, it could go the other. I do think there is the makings of, I think we've all said it in our chat, like I said, there'll be boos after the game. If we don't beat Sunderland at home, and we didn't beat Burnley, there will be boos. And there will be, but there'll be some fans that are booing passes in that game if we don't beat Burnley. Because it's the fickle nature of Forest fans, mate, and football in general. And he needs to start well, especially, even if it was a manager who we all wanted, he'd have to start well, because people will be... Oh, my cat's scratching at the door, mate. Ignore him. Yeah, honestly, it could turn toxic really quickly. Obviously, we all hope it doesn't, and like I said, I hope it doesn't, because I love Forest more than Ange. Yeah, and that's the be all and end all, to be honest.
Agreement, Reiss, or no?
Yeah. Complete agreement. I've sort of been sidetracked not by Mason's cat, but I've just seen a tweet pop up whilst we're obviously doing this pod. In terms of a Forest outgoing as well. So
that Jota Silva, is it?
Yes, Jota Silva to Besiktas for 3 million loan fee plus a 17 million euros mandatory.
That's mental. That's actually quite a good deal for Forest. I mean, that's actually ridiculous, because it was reported what we're signing for like 5-6 million
Yeah.
What profit? What a football club?
One thing we are good at is selling players. I think some of the fees we've got have been outrageous recently, and
Definitely.
long may it continue for PSR reasons, obviously.
It's a really funny predicament we find ourselves in, because I do find that, including myself in this, that we are all a little bit expectant now, because we finished 7th last season. I'm not saying that we have to finish 7th this season and win a trophy, but I think we need to challenge for them European spots. And if Ange's going to play the type of football he's got to play, he's got to be also pragmatic with his approach in certain games, because he just can't go and be mental. Like, we all know that. And I think he knows that deep down. I just think he binned off that Tottenham season towards the end. He knew we weren't going to go down. The 3 teams that had come up were all atrocious. Let's face it. At Tottenham, I felt sorry for him in some respects because of the injuries, but I also don't, because of his training methods as well. That surely can't be this. It can't repeat. If it don't repeat, I just feel like we might be on to a winner. I am looking forward to it. To be fair, I just want to see all these attacking players. I want to see Tupper explode with joy when he sees Dylan Backwell win the Ballon d'Or at the end of the season or whatever, and Elliot Anderson's winning the Europa League. And before he sets sail into the distance when he goes to Real Madrid or Barcelona for ridiculous money, although Barcelona probably can't afford it, to be honest. Do you want to say anything, Reiss?
No, I just nearly Mick McCarthy'd away. He said it can't get any worse. That's what it can. No.
It can also get better. That's what I always think. Score prediction, Reiss, for Saturday lunchtime.
1-1.
I mean, I'd absolutely snap your hand off for it right now. I mean, Mason, you must agree with that, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, my heart says 1-1, my head says 4-1 Arsenal.
Oof. I mean, I think we'll lose. I think we might lose admirably, like 2 or 3-1. I think we might be 2-1 and we kind of try and go after it and we concede, which, to be fair, as some football fans, even if it was under Nuno and we did that, I think we'd all be quite happy with it in the end. So no, I'm looking forward to it. Anything else to discuss before we finish, Reiss?
No, just obviously everyone enjoy the game. I'm watching it in the most unique of settings possible this week. I've elected to take my daughter to a party, being a super good dad I am, and then realised at the party 1 o'clock and thought 3 before I checked my calendar, which I synced. So I'll be on my phone watching the game from a soft play in Colic and seeing how Ange does from a distance. So no, just enjoy the game and just remember it's Forest. We're Forest fans. Support the team. That's it. It's one of them, innit? It's whether we like him or not. He's our manager. Get behind him.
Yeah, that's it. Mason, anything to add?
Pretty similar to Reiss, really. That's probably a message to myself as well. Just go with the flow. He's our manager now. You've got to back him, haven't you? You've got to
wait to see your head rolling down the road when we're watching it.
He's our manager, isn't he, at the end of the day now, whether we wanted him or not. It's not our business. We love it like it's our own, but it's not ours. It's Marinakis' choice. He's earned more than enough stars, I need to trust him. So let's just get behind him and the team, which I'm sure we will anyway. But
yeah,
let's just strap in because it's Nottingham Forest at the end of the day, isn't it? It's going to be a roller coaster.
That's it. I know if you've enjoyed the pod, do drop us a like and a subscribe. Do consider membership for early access to future pods. We'll see you when we do the review, and looking forward to it. Hopefully with some sort of result or something positive to take from it, at least if it is a negative one. So until next time,